Gary, have your say on the free kick. You weren't here when we were discussing it earlier. And the advantage that it gives you, if that wall is not 10 yards, it's as big as 11 or maybe even more.
I'm sure through sort of, I don't know, virtual reality or something, if you move that wall forward 1 yard and then got them to jump. I mean, when the ball goes over the wall that low and goes in the net that low, you know something's gone wrong, either from the keeper or from the wall.
Is the referee marking it out?
Yeah, I mean,
I
just looked at it from the sort of, usually you think, oh, that wall's too close. You never, ever think that wall's too far away, but just look miles away. And then the Arsenal wall's huge in terms of the players that are in it, but you thought, I fancy Bruno here, because the gap's big. I mean, I think your point around the goalkeeper's right. He's too far over to that side to start with. But then if a ball goes halfway up the net in the goal over the wall, something's gone wrong.
But it's also a good distance, isn't it? 25 yards, as opposed to if he was striking it from 20 yards.
It is, but that ball just misses the Arsenal heads. If they're another yard, well, 1.2 yards forward, I'm sure, and they jump. Or even, usually the wall ends up about 9 yards away because they creep, as the lad said before. So if you're 9 yards and you're creeping and you're jumping, they stop. They hit that. It hits the head. So it's... I mean, from an Arsenal perspective, I think they'll be disappointed because usually you feel that you're too far away and you start to creep and question. Obviously, United's players were aware of that in the second half.
Are we seeing the green shoots here? It was a lovely spring afternoon. Was there something here for Manchester United fans to cling on to,
I'm
Roy?
not sure, but I don't think where the manager feels he needs to apologise for the team sitting in. He's got to find a way to get good results. And sitting in, there's nothing wrong with sitting in, even for big clubs at home. Obviously, you'd want them to be a bit better in terms of possession. But if that's the way you can get results against teams who you think are in a better place than you and obviously higher up the league and more confident, what's wrong with sitting in? I don't know why he needs to apologise for that. But it was a battling performance. Before the game, you thought, well, we take a draw? But listen, you have to give him a little bit of credit. But it was still, in general, I thought the game was of poor quality. But we saw 2 brilliant goals. But a long way back from United. Listen, we keep saying that, but they showed some battling qualities.
We'll get back to Roy Keane and Gary Neville in just a quick second. But remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, you know what to do. If you've got something to say, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, the comment section is for you. Please express yourself there. The Big D reads all of the comments. Anyway, in this clip, this is the post-match reaction to Manchester United's draw with Arsenal yesterday in the Premier League. And yeah, well, Keane's going to have a little talk, as he usually does, and so is Gary Neville, and they're going to be assisted by Paul Merson and Jamie Redknapp as well. And they say a couple of interesting things, but I'll let them say what they're going to say and then stick around for after the clip because the Big D is going to be discussing what they were discussing themselves. Here they are.
You also heard him say there was obviously acceptance, apologies about the style, but we need points.
Yeah, which is fair enough. Well, he said it, exactly what you got to do. You've got to find a way to get results at the moment. That's not going to be the way he wants to play going forward, he knows that. But I actually think he's bright enough to realise. I think he's got to be... And this goes back to my point, like, we're going to talk about what his win percentage is at the moment and how well they're doing. I often listen to what a manager says and how much sense they talk. And I listened to other managers previously try to almost insult fans' intelligence by saying, yeah, actually, we played well today, and yeah, we are really showing signs. No, you weren't, and no, you're not. Whereas this guy understands the team is not of the level that it should be. Now, when I look at the Man United team, this squad, how many of them would have got in these two, the squads? It wouldn't even... Bruno might have got on the bench. At most. Apart from that, none of them. So that's how much the quality has gone down. So if you're not going to have those types of players around you, you've got to improve it, you've got to get your recruitment right. And when there's that, how long is that going to take? Is that 2, 3, 4 windows? Who knows? But he is well aware, and he's probably the first one that's actually come out and said it, that we are not good enough. So if you get rid of him, you're only going to have another manager come in and work with an average bunch of players. They're not good enough, these players right now.
I think this group is better than 14th, or Jamie?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that's not just all his fault. Of course not. That's obviously a joint manager's job. Yeah. So there's not... But I do... when I look at Bournemouth and what other teams have done and how well they're doing, and you look at the league table and you see some of the sides at the bottom, that shouldn't be the case. We know that. But I still think that it is an absolute time is of the essence. You can't just keep chopping and changing managers every week because that's not going to bring success here.
But there's the balance that he's trying to strike. And it's interesting to hear him talk about it today. He's come in and very clearly wants to change his style and he wants to recruit in terms of that style. But they need to get points now. Do you think he's got that balance right since he's come in? 5 wins from 17.
No, not at the moment. I think he's come in and he's stuck to his principles. He plays free at the back. and he wants to play free at the back. And I think he probably got the job because he wants to play free at the back. So why change now? It's going to take a bit of time. I thought they'd done well. I thought they'd come in, they sat 10 behind the ball, they had a game plan. Arsenal never really looked like scoring. I can't remember Onana making many saves. And they looked a little bit of a threat when it went 1-1. I felt the shackles come off and it was like, oh, we can go out now. You know, when it was 1-0, they were sort of defending too deep for me. And when it went 1-1, I thought Arsenal for the next 15 minutes to win this game. It went the other way, and Man United did. No, I like what he did today. You know, he come here, 70,000 people, sat 10 behind the ball. You know, I like managers that do that. It takes a lot. You know, Sean Dyche was a bit like that at Everton. I like them managers that don't listen to the crowd, because you can get involved in the crowd.
Nuno Espirito Santo has Nottingham Forest third with the lowest possession in the league.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of pace on the counter attack, and they've got an out-and-out centre forward who holds the ball up. And the most important thing, they score the first goal in a lot of football matches. You know, Man United don't score the first goal in a lot of football matches.
But he is very honest, Gary. He's almost welcomed questions about his own position and his own future at this football club in reference to Arsenal and Mikel Arteta this week. Is he going to get the time that he needs to make the change that is necessary here at Manchester United?
I think they'll back him. I think that they'll back him in the summer, and I think they'll give him money and chance to obviously alter this squad. He is positive. I think that he's got nothing to lose by being positive, because, to be honest with you, the managers over the years have tried to defend players here and tried to sort of not call them out. I mean, he's called them. You talk about what we say in this studio, but he delivered the harshest line on this squad. He said they're the worst team in Manchester United's history. And to hear that from your manager is unusual. In fact, it's rare.
Was he wrong to do that?
No, because I think it generally could be. It's a really poor squad, and obviously it's been expensively recruited over the last few years, but it needs ripping up. And the lack of pace, I mean, Mercer just talked about there, the lack of pace in midfield and attack and in wing-back areas is unbelievable. I mean, you've seen up front today, you've got Xerxes, Garnacho, who's got a little bit of pace, he's sharp, and Eriksen. Last week it was Højlund, Xerxes and Eriksen. You've got Casemiro and Fernandes in midfield who aren't the quickest, and you've got two wing-backs who are full-backs who can't, to be fair, create up top. So his attacking options to score goals are absolutely none. I mean, you talk about Højlund, he's living off less than scraps.
But they did create chances today,
No, they did.
That's the ironic thing about it.
Yeah.
They sat in because it was against Arsenal, but sometimes they should sit in against lesser teams. I think your ego and pride can get in the way, going, we're Man United, we're at home, we're going to go after teams. No, even against lesser teams, sit in. Yeah, you mightn't have real pace, but you still have, like lads today, lads get into good positions and a kind of mentality to get into the box.
The only manager in the last 10 years who's been able to actually play on the front foot successfully, that's been Van Gaal. The rest of them have ended up coming in with fantastic ambition to be a front foot team, a pressing team, but they've ended up at the back of their own box. Amorim, Ten Hag, Ole, Mourinho, Moyes have always ended up back at the edge of their own box, and that has got to change. I'm not saying you can do it sometimes, but you have to have the ability to also to be able to sustain attacks in the final third, like Arsenal have done today. That's when you are a really good team, when you sustain possession in the actual opposition half. No United manager's been able to do that apart from Van Gaal.
So is it just a question of swallowing this very bitter pill this season, finishing 14th, trying to go as far as you can in the Europa League?
Yeah, obviously they'll be hanging their hat and doing well in Europe, yeah, and suffer the next few months. Get to the summer, move lads on, which is easier said than done.
Thursday's
but we go
big.
back to it.
Thursday's
yeah,
huge.
Huge game from, of course. And we've spoken about other clubs over the last few months. The key to any club, bit of success, is get the recruitment right. You get that wrong, you will suffer for a number of years.
There we go. Roy Keane, Paul Merson, Jamie Redknapp, Gary Neville, thank you very much.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes when these pundits talk, they remind me of a broken clock. And that's to say that even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. And they talk a lot, and every now and then they'll say something that's true. But there's a lot of emotion involved, and emotion can cloud judgments, and emotion can, make you not see the woods for the trees, so to speak. And I feel as though it's a little bit of a performance at times as well with some of these pundits, like Roy Keane and Gary Neville as well. It's almost as if they're actors and they're acting a certain part, It's I don't know. I personally don't look at Manchester United and see something that can't be quite easily fixed. There's a lot of talent in that team. And Roy Keane, as I say, this is one of the times where the clock was right. Roy Keane said there that this squad should be higher than 15th or wherever they are. And he's right. He is right in that instance. But the way they talk sometimes, you would think Man United were like bottom of the league and they were going to get relegated. It's just nuts. And they talk about there's no pace in that team. What are they on about? Garnacho's rapid. Dallow's faster than what he's made out to be. Same with Xerxes. What Manchester United lack, it's not necessarily pace, it's cutting edge up front. That's it. That's it. And to suggest that we don't have any pace on the wings is as in the wing-back positions, that's nonsense. And we've got Dorgu now. I mean, he didn't play yesterday because he was suspended. But, he's an absolute racehorse, that lad. And I'm looking forward to seeing him when I go to the Sociedad game on Thursday as well. And the way Gary Neville is just kind of so depressed all of the time. I don't know why. Good grief. It's not that bad. The season is a bit of a write-off, I'll give you that. But goodness me, they just need to sign 2 or 3 players in the summer who are right for the system, and this team shoots up the table. It's as simple as that. I mean, I was at the game yesterday, and I didn't think it was a good game. I think Amorim got his tactics right by defending, because we've actually got a pretty decent defence. And Aidan Heaven, when he came on, played really, really well. He played in a manner that defied his age. And Delic's a good player. Euro wasn't too bad. So the only problem that we had was, we just don't look dangerous on the attack, and it took a world-class goal from Bruno Fernandes to put us in front. So if Manchester United just can buy a couple of good attacking players who can score goals across the front line, then, Manchester United will be all right next season. But to suggest that Jamie Redknapp, to suggest it's going to take 4-5 transfer windows, that's nonsense. Nonsense. It's not going to take that long at all. They just need people in charge who know how to make a good deal and find the right players, and it looks like they've got that. Because the signings that Ineos have made so far have been good. They have been good. There's no stinkers in there. Xerxes getting better, match to match. Delic's a brilliant defender. Euro is getting better and better. Ugarte is getting better and better. Dorgu looks good. So they've just lacked, over the past 10 years, a footballing project. And, once Alex Ferguson left, the footballing project left at that time. They just haven't replaced it properly. It's interesting to compare Amorim to everyone else in terms of the managers that we've had post Ferguson, because this, I think, is the first time a manager's come in and he's just kind of tore it up straight away and get the hard times out of the way first so we can get to the good times. I don't recall any other managers doing that. And it's interesting in the sense that, we've got a new manager and a new footballing project all over the space of about 12 months. So there was always going to be some kind of transitional period ever since Ineos took over. Because they've looked at the situation, realised that a lot of things need to be fixed, organised, streamlined, improved, and all of that, and they're trying to do everything all at once as quickly as they possibly can, and which is what Amorim's doing as well in terms of the first team too. So it was always going to be tough for the first maybe year or two, but come the summer, if Manchester United can get a couple of good players in who can attack, and we can get the players back who have been injured, like Martinez, for instance, and get a few players off the books who are not needed, which will obviously help free up the cash and whatnot to invest in the first team in the transfer market. Then, I think the future's bright. I think the future's bright. But we'll see. But what do you guys think? What did you think of the game yesterday? Did you think it was a good match? What do you think of Bruno's goal as well? That was an absolutely world-class goal. And it was nice that he did it in front of Roy Keane as well, after the nonsense he was talking the other week. But yeah, as ever, thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see you in the next one.